Hi everybody, we are back with episode 11 of Quick Resume podcast. Thank you so much for coming today. We're going to have so much fun. We just had our 10th episode. My name is Deck, I'm your host. I'm joined by Tim. Introduce yourself, say hi.
I thought you were gonna do a second thing.
I was thinking about it.
Drop my surname and my address or something.
I was thinking your social security number, and his PIN is 9451.
Dude, how do you know that?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, hello. It's great to be here. Episode 11, and still going. Who would have thought? And
who would have thought?
Yeah, and this is based on the news. Cultivated over the week, this is probably going to be your favourite episode to host, isn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, there is some exciting stuff that I want to talk about. Some stuff which is giving me tingly feelings all around my body.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it, man.
It should be a good one.
So, I mean, why don't you start and tell me what you've been up to this week, or just how have you been?
I've been good. Probably be quite short and snappy for me this week. I've basically just been grinding that Apex. You know, I'm a one game pony at the moment.
Our listeners definitely couldn't have guessed that.
Couldn't have guessed that. Yeah, I do find it quite tough to peel myself away from a game when I'm into it. Sometimes, I find it quite hard to just dip in and play Evil Within for an hour and then just go back on Apex and then just dip back on something else, you know. I've always
it's the best gen for it, man. It's great. Quick Resume is a fucking lifesaver for this stuff, honestly.
I mean, we literally have a podcast called Quick Resume and I don't fully utilize the feature.
And you hate Quick Resume.
I do, with a passion.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I would always be the same. I mean, I would still do it, but it would always be like for example, when I was playing Red Dead back in the day, you know, that was, or Red Dead 2 rather. It was the load times on that, you know, were you know, they're renowned for being huge. You know, it's 3.5 minutes on Xbox One or something. Maybe I played on One X, I can't remember, but still they were huge. And you know, like you said, when your friends are like, okay, I'm going to go for an hour and then I'll be back, and it's like, can I really be bothered to boot up the game? You know, go past the loading, the title screen, then the loading, then get in. You know, orientate myself to where I am. So yeah, but with QR, I feel like you just bypass a lot of that because it's just you're straight back in. You're like, oh, that's right, this is where I was.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I'm still stuck in that old mindset of the fact that I feel like just subconsciously sometimes I forget Quick Resume's actually a thing, and I'm like, oh, I could do that. But instead, I just went for a dump, got some food, and watched an episode of something on YouTube. Or I played a solo game of Apex, you know, when I genuinely could have actually booted up something. So, I'm just on that Apex grind at the moment, very much enjoying my FPS. But there's a few things in the pipeline, obviously, that I do really want to try. Resi 8 is still very much on my radar. Mm-hmm. And then the new Knockout City coming out in a couple of weeks, which I never got to try the beta with the lads.
The boys, dodgeball with the boys.
Yeah, but I heard it was amazing. So there's quite a few stuff on my radar which will pull me away from Apex. Definitely Knockout City, I think, will pull me away. And I'll be playing
knock you out of Apex.
Yeah, exactly. Just break that addiction. But apart from that, just a normal week. And obviously played cricket yesterday and came out with an injury. For those of you who don't know, I do play cricket on the weekend, so I'm hobbling around at the moment. But you know, just fit enough to sit down at a desk and do a podcast. So it's all good. Yeah. But how's your week been, man?
Yeah, it's good. I think I mentioned to all the listeners last week I'm moving house, or moving back to my last house next week. So me and my partner, mostly my partner, have been busy sort of getting this flat empty, and but I have had some bits of time to do some stuff, and just of relevance. I mean, obviously, Mass Effect came out this week, and we spoke about that last week, and I was umming and ahhing on whether I should buy it, because I know Knockout City is coming out, and there were some other things. Like a while ago, it was teased that Sekiro was going to be coming to either Games Pass or Xbox Live Gold, and it hasn't yet. And I followed that up with, well, it's the guy from Xbox Era, it's Nick, who has a few sources, and he still believes it's still coming. He's not sure what the hold up is. So I was like, I'm and ahhing, should I? That's another single player I'd probably play, game I'd probably play. I know Biomutan's on the horizon as well, so I'm and ahhing about that as well. Anyway, I fucking just impulse bought it. I was like, whatever, let's do it. I had a bit of time in the evening to play it, and I was like, you know what, let's just do it. And obviously the reviews were coming in really hot. They were coming in like above 90 on OpenCritic, something like a 91 or something, and I was like, wow. Let's just do it, man. Let's just buy it, and I'll just, there's no rush to complete it, so I'll probably just chip away at the trilogy over like the next, to be honest, year or two.
They're big games, so
right, yeah. So I've been playing that, and I've been having a nice time. It's I can definitely. It's really. Do you know what? It's really. I've had this with a few games before, where like you've played a newer game and you're like, oh, that was cool, and then you play an older game that was like really similar. Like it had a lot of features. But like a game that's like 15 years old, and you're like, oh right, this is where it came from. And in particular, what I'm thinking of was the Outer Worlds. The Obsidian one. You know what I mean?
Outer
I have to check now because I'm really pissed. Is it definitely?
Yeah, it's Worlds. Yeah,
it's so annoying because I'm such a huge fan of both the games and I still get them mixed. Yeah, it is Outer Worlds. And like there's that screenshot. When you go through the game and you get the companions and you can go in the menu. Like before you leave the ship, it like gives you the silhouette of all of the companions you can take. You can take like 2.
Yeah.
And you like go over them and it shows you their skills. That's like exactly the same thing in Mass Effect. And I was like, because I hadn't seen that prior to Outer Worlds, like that sort of illustration of like, pick your companion. So, but it's done exactly the same in Mass Effect. It's just funny because obviously Mass Effect is 15 years old now or whatever, and it's just clearly quite influential with that. But yeah, it's good. Do you know what? It controls. It's weird. The shooting is really good. It has no right to be that good. They've clearly touched it up.
It's basic, but it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, like it just feels really good. Like I'm popping heads. Mm-hmm. It just feels good, man. The controls are a bit wobbly. Like A is sprint. We're back in the days where A was sprint. That's how we're like going prehistoric. Like Gears is still like now. There's like remapping and stuff for Gears, and you can the last time I played it, I changed it so that the stick is sprint and A is some other shit. I can't remember, but A is sprint, and it's like really wobbly, and you can only control it with the left stick. Like you can't turn with the right stick. It's very weird.
But there's no option to remap.
No, there's hardly any accessibility settings in it. Maybe there are more in 2 and 3. I don't know, but mostly really good. Mostly really positive experience so far. I think I said to you I had that weird bug which I'd heard about, but just assumed it wouldn't affect me. Don't know why. Where the game crashes if you're using a wireless headset. So I'm using the same headset, but just plugging it into my turning it off and just plugging it into my controller, and that seems to be working just fine. Yeah, it's nice though. Yeah, a lot of the stuff is really nicely like touched up. Like a lot of the character models look really good actually. And it's really, I love games that are like quite like are really creative in like the environment or character design or concept or whatever. And there was quite a few things that I've seen like in the first. I'll probably play like the first 5 hours maybe, and I'm like, this is cool, man. This is cool. This is ahead of its time.
Yeah, it's got a cool art style. It's very, very spacey. They definitely took that space vibe and just went with it.
Yeah, definitely.
We can do whatever we want. We can make these things look as ugly as we want or as pretty as we want.
Yeah, and the world building seems really cool so far. Like I think I've always said my favorite part of games like this is world building, and it's what made something like Horizon Zero Dawn like such a treat for me. Even though the story was like, yeah, it was fine. Even though Aloy as a protagonist, she was fine. The world building was fucking sick. Like like how we got to like the point of machines walking around the world instead of actual animals, things like that. Yeah, good experience so far. Yeah, I'm excited to keep playing. Yeah, I'm having a good time. As someone who's never played it before, I know there's a lot of people who are quite envious of my position, who like really, really adore the series. And that's kind of, I say the same to people who have like never played Witcher 3 before, like going in fresh. Even though I haven't played the whole series, I don't really feel like you need to. I feel the same, but like going into that fresh is like I'm quite envious of that position. So it's nice to be on the other side of that for once.
Yeah. So does the so it's just the trilogy. It's not Andromeda.
No, it's not Andromeda. Yeah, it's just the trilogy, and it's weird actually because it just installs one by default. So I've only got the first one installed at the moment. But yeah.
Oh, okay, that's weird. And was it a full price, or was it like 30 quid or something?
It's full price, yeah. So we get the EA Play discount because Games Pass is a miracle. So it was 53 down from 60, I think.
Okay.
10%.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
it's quite odd because obviously some companies that did the same thing, like the BioShock collection and stuff. They actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they sold that at a reduced price. I'm pretty sure it was like 30 quid for the BioShock remastered, or was it 60?
I prefer other collection like remastered games.
Yeah, for like the like the BioShock collection remaster, which came with all three BioShocks. I'm pretty sure that wasn't a full price. I'm pretty sure that was sold at like 30.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not.
I don't see why it would have been only 30.
I'm not absolutely certain, but
I'm having a quick look, but I can't find any information on it. It doesn't have.
Yeah, I mean that's just my gut feeling because I did buy that and I could have sworn it wasn't like £55 or 50 quid or whatever it was. I could have sworn I bought it for like 35 or something. But yeah,
I don't see why it would have been. I mean, having said that, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say maybe more work went into, like, Mass Effect was more of an effort with the remaster.
Potentially, yeah.
But
I still think in terms of value, you know, the length of the games, you know, they are good games as well. And if they've touched them up properly, I don't think there's anything wrong with spending £55 on 3 massive space RPGs. Like,
right.
You know, you're getting fantastic value for money, and they look as good as they ever have looked. So, you know.
Yeah.
And no doubt that's tickling your Starfield boner.
It is. Well, I mean, this was like, to be fair, this was a bit of a reservation I had because I've been sitting on like so much sci-fi angst. You know, and I was like,
yeah,
do I really want to like I'm a bit worried now that I'm going to be sci-fi'd out after this when I really don't want to be. So. Because I just feel like I haven't played a sci-fi game in fucking for like I can't even like maybe Destiny, but it's not really the same. Like Destiny is kind of like high fantasy sci-fi. So I wouldn't really count that. Whereas that Mass Effect is high sci-fi, and Starfield will likely be high sci-fi as well. You know, you know, in contrast to something like let's say Elder Scrolls, which is high fantasy. But yeah. Yeah, just a quick Google says $59.99. I'm not going to click through them all,
okay.
But at the moment it seems to be like 30 quid. So maybe it's just something that you've seen recently from a retailer.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, or maybe I just caught it in like a flash sale or something. I don't know. Either way, clearly my hunch was wrong.
Did it include Infinite?
It did not. I'm pretty sure it's just BioShock 1, 2, and 3.
BioShock 3.
Was there a third? There wasn't a BioShock 3, was there? No, yeah. No, I think it was just BioShock 1 and 2, I think. Let me have a look.
I just closed the tab, for God's sake.
That's fine.
All
the collection, yeah. Oh, no, Infinite 2. Yeah,
yeah I thought
the 3 games. BioShock Infinite in brackets, BioShock 3.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Best one in the series. Don't stab me. Alright.
Okay.
But yeah,
well, yeah, so nice. That's that. I am playing Mass Effect, having a good time. I'll get back to you in 2022 with a review.
Amazing. I'm sure people are waiting for a Mass Effect review in 2022. That's where we get the views.
Yeah, exactly. I did want to just add, really, that I might be addicted. There's a possibility that I need some help. I may be addicted to Microsoft Rewards in many ways, but one of them is that I might be addicted to Microsoft Rewards, and it's just that I have this kind of like compulsion to like open it every single day. But I've got to say, not mad, like not even mad. Like I'm currently sitting on, like I'm just having a look now. I'm currently sitting on 27,000 points, and I used to do the thing where you go on Bing and because you do like not questionnaires, what are they? They're like activities. So you get like a poll. You know, you pick your favorite thing out of a few. There's like a set of questionnaires. Yeah, and then there's something that you just look at. And if you do all of them, that counts as a daily set done. And if you do that a few days in a row, you build up a streak, and you get extra rewards for like the longer you keep it up. And I used to do that, but I was just finding that to be too much hassle. However, the one that's just baked into the Xbox is probably the best one because it's literally just a lot of them is just to do with games. So if you're like into that, it's really like gratifying because if you just keep your eye on it, usually like if there's a new game upcoming, it's literally like activate your postcard, and then if you're buying the upcoming game, you just get like 6,000 points for free. And you know, just for like clarity, just to like give you an idea, like 5,500 points is enough for a £5 gift card. Okay. So 1,000 points usually translates to, for us, £1, probably maybe $1.
Oh.
1,000 points is probably equivalent to £1, so 6,000 would be about £6 worth, which is why 5,500.
Oh, I see.
It gets me a £5 gift card, and yeah, you can do this thing where you can put it. They've got this thing going at the moment, which always tickles my pickle. They do it every now and then. They do like a month, and they call it. So at the moment, it's called the May Gamer Score Challenge, and it's literally just all of your gamer score in the month that they activate this converts to points. Just 1-to-1, which is really fucking cool. Because obviously I was like, I'm gonna buy Mass Effect and I'm just gonna like get loads of achievements for it,
get my money back.
Exactly, yeah. And you can get to max of 10,000 points. And there's a subreddit for this called Microsoft Rewards where they're like a level higher than if I'm like moderately suffering from Microsoft Reward addiction. They're on the severe end of the scale.
Yeah.
And like if somebody had already done the 10,000 points and they'd listed like all the games that they did to get 1,000, they maxed out 10 1,000 gamer score games.
There are quite a lot of games you could do that quite quickly though. I know a lot of like the Telltale games, people would just be like
speed run.
Let's go. Yeah, like The Wolf Among Us and like I know like the Borderlands one, the Batman ones, all that. They're just like easy G, man. A lot of people just play those games just for the gamer score. Like, they don't necessarily even enjoy their experience.
Yeah. No, it is, man. It's just a bit. It's just very gratifying because, as I say, like everything you're doing is essentially turning back into money. And if you're just like diligent with checking it, like you don't have to go out your way. You just like do shit. Yeah. Like I said, they do weekly sets, and again, like if you do the streak on this, they give you bonus shit. And this week it was literally check out Mass Effect, so you just have to click the tile and it gives you one. The next one is do a different search on Bing for 3 different days. So literally just search like the letter A, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, done.
Search porn and then
all that, yeah.
Something else.
Yeah. So if you're using the Bing browser, you'll get that naturally. And then the other one is get 3 achievements in the week. And then that's it, boom, done. 100 points, and that counts as a streak. So anyway, yeah. But it's just like I've been doing this a lot, and so like there's a lot I've gotten this week because I bought Mass Effect, which was free money. I'm doing their Gamer Score challenge. It's just fun, man. I just wanted to plug it a bit because it's a really good program. I'm surprised they don't plug it more. And like I've got mine on like auto redeem, which is a bit cheaper than if I was to do it manually. So every month, if I have enough points, it automatically takes 5,500 points and gives me a gift card, rather than the normal 5,850. So it's a little bit cheaper, but it just does so. Every month, I just get like a free $5 put into my account.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just wanted to plug it.
I have to admit, I haven't heard you talk about it that much. And yeah, I mean, you're kind of selling it to me. It's something I've never bothered checking out. I remember I did it like when Season 9 started at Apex because there was like you get some money back if you buy some coins on Apex, and we wanted to get some of the new stuff. And I immediately clicked on the app and I was like, what's happening? It's like, there are tiles just everywhere. It's just, and you were just like, just take it easy, mate. Just find the Apex logo.
Deep breath.
Just click. I did get a bit lost and I was a bit overwhelmed, but I mean, it's one of those things where I think getting an achievement is satisfying in itself, and then like every time you get an achievement, you're also just like, oh, that's 10p in the bank. I
Yeah,
should get
exactly.
money there
Yeah,
as well. Like,
it is. It is.
um,
It just gives that little extra incentive.
yeah, I can imagine it just making it just that bit more satisfying. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and of course, actually, I totally forgot about. I mean, for the rewards app, you should literally just pin it, like literally just pin it into your main pins bit on the dashboard.
Cortex.
You pin it straight into your eyes, straight into your frontal lobe, and the other thing is the Game Pass rewards, which I totally forgot. That's the thing that is also really good, which is part of that, but it's kind of a bit more hidden, and that bit is actually a bit confusing because it's like it's hard to access, it's not easy, but essentially they have like challenges within Games Pass, and it will be things like open up a Games Pass game, get an achievement on a Games Pass game, and then they have some specific rewards, like for example, go on Skyrim and kill a guard or whatever. So some of them do require you to go out the way, but others don't. But same sort of thing, it'll pop up and it will say rewards to hand in, you just do it and it will just convert it into 15, 20, 50, 100 points, whatever. So doing those two things in tandem can be really cool, and what I found is that it's actually like sometimes driving my behaviour to do things which I otherwise wouldn't have, in a good way though. Like sometimes I'll be like, it's like, oh, try and get a Games Pass game that you haven't yet, and I'll just be like, okay, fucking let's have a look. Like I'm in the mood to just piss around on something new for 20 minutes, and I'll open up something like that happened with Donut County. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" what? So I booted it up, and I got, it got me the points or whatever. So I did the first level because it gave me an achievement. I just kind of kept playing, and I was like, "Actually, this is quite good." So yeah, it's just that sort of thing. Like I ended up finishing it because it was only like 6 hours long or whatever. But if I had dropped it after the first hour, and have had a good time with it, like I wouldn't have been mad. Like it was still good.
Yeah, it's quite interesting how it changes your behaviour. Your gamer behaviour.
Gamer behaviour, yeah. Yeah, fucking cool, man. And the last thing I just wanted to touch on was, obviously, we will speak about this, but in light of it being sort of the 20th anniversary celebration of Xbox, from now through to November, they're doing some stuff that you can order on their shop. There's like some t-shirts, pillows, hat, if you're a hat kind of person, and like a tumbler, so like like a coffee mug or whatever but with the coffee mug, you can get you can get whatever you want etched on it, engraved on it, but they say get your gamer tag on it. So I ordered a shirt and a tumbler, and the shirt is going to be here quite soon actually, but the cup will be a bit longer.
Normally those things take ages.
I know, but
you order like t-shirts from there.
Yeah, it was international shipping as well, so I'm really confused. And then they messaged me like, yeah, it'll be here any day, and I ordered it for home for Birmingham where I'm moving. And it was like, they were like, oh, it'll be there Monday. And I was like, no, I won't be there yet. So I've had to delay it.
Delay?
Yeah, I just went on the app and fucking delayed it. But yeah.
Did you get the Halo one, or did you get the Xbox 20th edition?
Yeah, I got the 2020 shirt, yeah. The green one.
I think if I were to get one, which I probably will, I quite like that gold Halo one.
I considered it.
Really cool.
Yeah, it was quite cool. Well, the thing is, I was going back and forth because I really wanted one to replace my, the one we got at Eurogamer years ago, the Xbox shirt, the Xbox One one.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, that I've still got that when I wear it every now and then. It's sort of like a pajama shirt or whatever, but it's like got holes in it and everything now. So like I need a new one. So I just wanted one that looked kind of similar to that. So yeah, I ended up going with the green one, but yeah, the Halo one looks cool as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely I'll probably get the Halo one, and I'll definitely get the tumbler because I'm always drinking tea and coffee when I'm playing. Is it literally just like, is it like thermal in any way, or is it just like a straight up like?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a metal one, so I'm pretty sure it is thermal. And it's got like a lid on it.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Although I will say there seemed to be quite a tight character limit on what you want to get edged on it. I don't think you'll be able to get your full gamer tag on it.
Well, surely they would have made it the character limit for an Xbox Live gamer tag.
I know.
Because I think it's 15 characters, isn't it?
Because
my name is.
Yeah, because I think it's 14. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I put mine in, and it was saying 0 characters left. Mine is quite short. Mine is 8. No, yeah, 8. No, 9. Space. Yeah, 9.
Yeah, 9. Yeah. It's 9. It's 9. You went silent and just sort of figuring it out.
Still having my coffee. Yeah. So you might have to like condense it down to whatever you want yours to be, and that goes for the listeners as well. So it might. So I guess it's because it's a cup, so that they can't. I guess they can't go around the whole thing. I don't know. It's
a bit lame though.
It's a bit lame, but I mean, you don't have to put a gamer tag on it. You can put whatever you want on it.
Put the word "fuck" on it or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For the nerd.
I mean, it'd be pretty annoying to abbreviate my game. At that point, I wouldn't bother. I'd probably just put my real name. I'd probably just put Tim. Tim's mug. Stay away.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
way longer than my actual gamer tag. But
we'll just have a look. Yeah, have a look. I might.
Yeah, I'll see if I can.
Yeah. See what you can wangle. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I mean, in light of that, that's obviously a bit of news that we're going to sort of come on to and talk about a little bit. But as we say, it's Xbox put out a big sort of blog post, celebrating not only the launch of the first Xbox in 2001, which was November 15th, and the launch of Halo alongside of it as well. So they're sort of, putting up, saying it's a sort of celebration from now through to then. And so as part of that, I kind of wanted to just be a bit nostalgic, maybe a bit soppy, and just ask the question of like, what would you say is like your favorite, or maybe a couple of your favorite Xbox memories between, like, well, yes, I mean, since we've been Xbox gamers, really, does anything sort of spring to mind?
I mean, it's quite a tough one because there are so many games and so many like eras I've enjoyed on Xbox in its time it's been around. Obviously, we came in around the 360 time. But yeah, I mean, I'd probably say something like, just like some Halo 3 memories, just sort of messing around and custom games, like playing Fat Kid with like 10 of our mates in custom games, that sort of thing. Those were some of the best memories I've had. Or I'd probably say like, maybe like the Borderlands 2 launch window, something like that. Like that was a huge, like, that's by far one of my favorite all time. That game was nearly perfect in my eyes, Borderlands 2. It was an absolute masterpiece. And we just blitzed the hell out of it. And then of recent memory, sort of, I mean, we're going from like old to medium to more recent. I mean, it has to be Monster Hunter World as my most recent. Like, when that finally came to home console and to Xbox, and we our favorite gaming franchise.
Straight.
You just came over and we just huddled up in my room and for like the weekend, and it was disgusting. We like calculated the hours we weren't on it, and it was literally it was like 7 hours a day wasn't playtime. Over 3 days. So and that was solely just food break and just sleeping, and the rest of it was
sustenance.
playtime.
Yeah.
And we hated each other by the end of that weekend. We were just so sick of each other.
That's the weekend when like that became a thing, didn't it? But like that was never the case, but we were like so intensely like playing together after an amount of time together now, we're like, I fucking hate you.
You just felt your eyes staring at my rewards every single time.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, but you did always get gems.
Like that has to be, that's one of my all-time favorite games, and just finally having that come to that sort of our home console and stuff like that, and getting to play that together. But I mean, right off the top of my head, probably those sort of like the Halo 3 custom games times, Borderlands 2 binging, and then Monster Hunter World is a more recent one. But what about you?
I mean, it is quite cute that all of the ones you mentioned are the ones that we've done together.
Oh, they're all co-op. They're all. I mean, I'm definitely a multiplayer-centric gamer. I'm not about hopping on a single-player game. I've always preferred playing with friends and having a co-op RPG over a single-player RPG. And and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, all my favourite memories are with playing games with mates, and yeah, they've all been with you. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're not
yours
going to
better
find
be
me
with me as well.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna be like, I actually really liked playing Skyrim by myself, all by myself, not with anyone else. I mean, there were definitely like, and the thing is, we even played Skyrim together, so that's I can't even say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have some landmarks. Like, obviously Halo. Like, I was introduced to Xbox through you, really, when you got an Xbox in the first place, and yeah, like that sort of Xbox Live, like playing online against other people, and it just kind of working and speaking to other people, and like, that was crazy to me. And obviously, like when I got my own Xbox and we started playing custom games, yeah, definitely, that's probably like one of my earliest memories of like what got me into sort of the ecosystem and like that idea of kind of social gaming. We used to play like COD 4 together a lot, didn't we, as well? Before I got my Xbox, I'd come over to yours, and then we played World at War and whatever. Then through to probably, you're probably right, Borderlands 2 is the next big thing. We were buzzing for that after Borderlands 1, and I literally took a gap year to play Borderlands 2. It's sort of a joke, but not really, but sort of.
Oh, it was so good. It was just a masterpiece.
And I remember that was the first game I got like a full like premium edition for. I got the Marcus bobblehead, and everything, and I've still got it somewhere, and his head just kind of wobbles around. So there was that, and then probably moving more again, sort of in the moderate range in terms of time. It's probably something like Destiny. A lot of the mates we have now,
that's very
we
true.
Made playing Destiny, doing raids. Like those were so unique. They still are, it's still the best thing that Bungie does, bar none, is that it's kind of their raids, and they are really good at making social experiences. So, like, definitely sort of Destiny 1, even Destiny 2 to a lesser degree, but Destiny 1 is where we, like, sort of made a lot of friends, a lot of the friends that we still speak to this day, 7-8 years on, we're gonna be meeting up with these people this year for E3 kind of thing, and we did the same last year. So, these are like friends that we kind of made for life, that we made through Destiny. So that's definitely a big milestone for me.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah,
and I guess there are some other sort of there are some single player like hitters that I would put in there that I have like really like fond, like strong emotional memories of. Things like obviously like Skyrim was one of them. Like I know we played that together a lot, and when I say together, I mean in the same room. We would just play it together. I've spoken about it on the show before, how I think Skyrim is a special game, because it kind of opened my eyes to like the possibility of like kind of these open world games, and how that kind of feeling of kind of going on an adventure and exploring that you can't get anywhere else. Probably Dark Souls 2 as well. Probably The Witcher 3. Probably Red Dead Redemption 2, to be honest, as well, because it's still one of the best stories that's ever been told. Like in across the many mediums, it was one of the most powerful stories that I've been part of. So those are probably some of them. Monster Hunter World, obviously. I'm trying to think of something more recent. Oh, and to be fair, I don't think either of us can deny the effect of Smite on us. Like,
oh god,
we played Smite religiously from like when it came to Xbox One in 2014 to probably 2017, maybe 2018, like 3 or 4 years solidly. And it was probably our first gateway into playing games competitively. Like,
I'd say
because
so,
Smite came out around the same time as Destiny. Obviously, there was Trials of Osiris. I think that came a bit down the road, maybe? I can't remember.
Yeah, Trials of Osiris definitely wasn't there for launch. Yeah.
But Smite was the first thing that we started doing, like properly competitively.
Dare we drop our game times?
We're up. Well, I think we're both in the triple figures, aren't we? We're both on like 100 days or something like that.
I think I'm like 120 days.
Yeah, I think you're like 120 days, and it's a game we haven't played for like 2 years now or something,
Yeah.
And every now and again, if somebody's playing it, I might hop in and just do something. But I think we're kind of past it. But I can't deny that it was like a huge part of like, like we wouldn't be as invested in Apex, like the competitive scene, or like ranked or whatever, if like we hadn't done that.
Yeah, No, I completely agree. Yeah, there's a few massive hard hitters in there that you mentioned that obviously I completely forgot. I mean, most of our gaming experiences would actually be very similar because we have literally just shared an entire Xbox like journey together, basically, playing games together. Even when they weren't co-op, like you said, we sat in the same room playing Skyrim, and it's like, what quest are you doing? You're like, I'm collecting nerd roots. I'm like, I'm killing someone.
Oh, don't fucking
it's just
bring
like...
up nerd roots. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of them are going to be quite similar, but yeah, the Destiny one definitely. I feel kind of bad not mentioning that because yeah, some of our best mates that we talk to on a daily basis, and we met them doing an LFG, playing
right.
Vault of Glass, and we were just like, these kids, they got a very similar energy to us, and. And we still, we've met up with them so many times. We go out drinking with them, and we're meeting up again in literally just a couple weeks, and stuff like that. It's just, 100%. That's created friendships that will, probably last a lifetime. So,
yeah, right, and yeah, it's just kind of that. So like, obviously, like the takeaway from like both of us really is like it's definitely like those social gaming experiences. Are pretty big. I think another one I just thought of, maybe to a lesser degree with the other ones, but it's worth mentioning as well, was like I remember us playing like Fable quite a lot as well, like co-op when that came out. Which is why like I'm always yearning for another co-op RPG, but they never come. But yeah, but then obviously like recently is things like Apex is going to be a bit of a landmark as well.
Apex is huge. Yeah.
And
oh man, that was great.
Yeah, that was great. I'm trying to think if there was any, because the thing is, I feel bad because there are like smaller games that I've definitely played that maybe
like Ori.
I'm not remembering.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, right. Like Will of the Wisps is like amazing. It's so good, and I've definitely like, always remember that. Yeah, Cuphead. We played that together, obviously. The Outer Wilds had like a really profound impact on me. There's nothing like it. So things like that. So I feel bad that there are some smaller games. I mean, there'll be time to revisit this in other episodes, but there are definitely games like that.
The Battle Block Theatre have to be one as well.
Castle Crashers, yeah. Battle Block Theatre and Castle Crashers.
Oh,
yeah, the Behemoth, man. They're such good developers. Yeah, we smashed out Castle Crashers back in the old Summer of Arcade days.
God, I've completed that game so many times.
So good, though.
It must be like 20, 30 times I've done that game.
It's so good.
It's mental. Oh, man. Just taking a nostalgia trip and realising so many games that have impacted us in so many ways. It's pretty crazy. I mean, there's a reason why it's pretty much my number one hobby. I do love it to death. It's great.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, it's nice to sort of go down and sort of think about it's easy to forget, isn't it? Like what you've done before and what's kind of impacted you and what hasn't. But I mean, definitely. Yeah, cool. As I say, this is something that I'm sure we'll retouch further down the line. But like, is there anything else you wanted to go over before we move on?
No. Let's get into the boring stuff. We're not in nostalgia. Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah, cool. I'm all wrapped up.
So I wanted to, like, obviously, like with the more official news of with that Xbox sort of anniversary being this year, they sort of said that the celebration starts today. This was last week and goes through to November 15th. And if it's not obvious to anyone else, November 15th is going to be the launch of Halo Infinite.
Oh yeah.
I would put a moderate amount of money on that being the actual date. I'd put a large sum of money on it being that week.
Oh yeah, 100. Yeah, I would put. Yeah, that's a bet I would take as well.
Yeah,
it's just they especially with all like the merch and the anniversaries very much tying in together. It just makes sense. And it's a really cool thing to do as well. Like, I think that's a really cool release date. It's not just like, oh, let's release it near Christmas so we can get the kids' sales.
Exactly.
They've actually like got meaning behind it, and they're trying to tickle people's pickles with it.
Yeah, so, right. And it's just not. It's not like the stars don't align like that very often, do they? For a 20th anniversary, for your console, for the brand, for the IP of Halo, like there's no way you don't skimp on that opportunity. Like, you skimp on that opportunity. And there's
and they're just going to take a poop on it.
Yeah, right. Even
the worst Halo.
Even with like the mixed reception, shall we call it, of the showcase last time, there's still been a lot of positivity around Infinite. Like generally, like people are like, graphically a bit underwhelming, whatever. But generally, people are still looking forward to it. Like the sentiment I get online is that people are still looking forward to the game, to the story, to the gameplay, to the multiplayer, which we haven't even seen. Forge that we haven't even seen. All of this, and they're just going to keep building on that with bits and bobs of nostalgia and other stuff as well. So it's all looking like that's going to line up as the soft launch at the very least for Infinite.
Yeah, I think so. 100%. I think my headset disconnected for like 5 seconds. So I just want to double check I still sound fine.
Yeah, you sound fine. I did see
cool.
that. Yeah, no, it was fine.
Cool.
So there was also some art that they posted on Twitter as well. It's worth having a look.
Art.
Yeah, if you want to go on the Xbox official Twitter for the listeners and have a little look, there's sort of this side-by-side of old Chief and the newly designed Chief. And I've got to say, newly designed Chief is looking pretty banging.
He's taller.
he's grown, man. He's taller and a bit thicker, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's been benching while he's been up in space.
The helmet looks way cooler.
Yeah, the helmet looks great.
The helmet looks weird on old Chief. It's like going back. It's like going backwards.
Yeah, it looks like he's got like fucking kyphosis. Like his spine is backwards or something.
Yeah.
And there was like the one thing I wanted to point out is that if you look just under new Chief's gun, the barrel of his gun, there's some dude with glowing eyes, and we haven't seen him before.
Oh yeah.
And that's I'm not the only one to have noticed this, obviously, and so people have thought, oh, that's a Promethean. So that's kind of, I mean, we don't know. There's too much to go by. Obviously, people didn't really like Prometheans in 4 and 5, but if they are bringing them back it will be heavily redesigned, and that looks like it's carrying over from the very little artistic information that we have there. It looks like it's carrying over some of the design language of the Prometheans from 4 and 5, but overall it looks kind of different. And we know a lot of the focus is going to be on the Banished and the Brutes and stuff, so we'll see. But I mean, it's a bit of an indication that there's going to be maybe a Promethean presence.
Yeah, some Promethean presence.
Which I always liked conceptually. Yeah.
I like the designs of the Prometheans in 4 and 5. I thought they were pretty cool, and I love the weapons as well, and the effects the weapons had, all like the explosion effects, and everyone like disintegrating into like ash and stuff like that.
Yeah, the weapons were dang.
Really fucking cool. Yeah.
I don't think anybody minded the design of the weapons or the design of the Prometheans. It was more like the
combat design.
Yeah,
they were just bullet spongy. And
they weren't responsive. Yeah. Okay. So swiftly moving on then. There was a Bethesda survey this week asking if you like creating spaceships. Now I'm scratching my head thinking, I don't know what this could be for. I don't know what this is about.
New Fable, maybe?
Maybe.
Even
Bethesda making Fable? Crossover of the century, bro.
Yeah. I have no idea. Must be Skyrim DLC.
It must be. Yeah, it's probably Fallout 77.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we're talking about Starfield. Well, I mean, it's got to be sort of some sort of prep for Starfield. But I mean, it seems a bit weird because Starfield's got to be quite far along. But I guess it's just data, and data is data. So maybe it's thinking about DLC stuff. Who knows? And there was more sort of Starfield gossip, which I just wanted to touch on. So let me just skim through it, and then you can give me sort of your thoughts on what you think. So, from an insider on Reset Era, Starfield will be there, or rather, quote, Starfield will be there at E3. Sounds to be more focused on space exploration rather than being an epic sci-fi saga. Think more No Man's Sky and Outer Wilds, not the Obsidian one. Outer Wilds and Outer Worlds, rather than Mass Effect. This is based on the little info that I was sent, so this could be a bit off base. We'll see soon. End quote. So, and this is really interesting because, I mean, this is based off obviously one insider sort of information. But however, most Bethesda game studios are like this. Fallout and Skyrim are not like epic sagas, are they? They are like exploration-driven games. The main story is kind of the side piece. Like, think about Skyrim. You can blast through the main story in 3 hours and be done with it. I don't consider them to be whatever you consider to be a genre epic. I don't think of Bethesda Game Studios as being that type of game. They're all, for me, they're exploration-driven games. Whereas something like Mass Effect is story-driven. Witcher is story-driven.
I don't know. I actually kind of disagree. I feel like Skyrim is very, like you said, it has the main quest line, but like even when you go off and you explore and stuff like that, it's a completely different type of exploration to something like No Man's Sky and Outer Worlds. Like the exploration leads to side story-driven missions and stuff like that. It's still story. It's just being told from, a different point of view or someone else's quest or something like that. It's not. No Man's Sky is like, I know, you just explore and you find a new type of mineral, where Skyrim you explore and you find someone that gives you a quest that you find their lost child, and oh my god, the child got eaten by a bear, and then the bear had mutated mushrooms and now it wants to kill you.
Yeah, but those quests aren't epic like scale quests, are they?
I guess no, I guess not, but they're very it's a completely different type of exploration to No Man's Sky. I would say Skyrim and Fallout are
in some ways I think they are
much more storytelling and should be compared to No Man's Sky really in any way.
I think in terms of like there's more of an emphasis on like side quests and dialogue maybe, but like in the sense of like those games try to drag you to different places based on like points of interest, based on like general intrigue. That's something that No Man's Sky does as well. So does Outer Wilds, and so I would say so does Skyrim. Like you see a totem in the distance. You go, what the fuck's that? It's like Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is like really like the most distilled version of that there is. There's like, it's such a game which is like there's hardly any dialogue, but you see a house in the distance. You're like, what the fuck's that? And you go there and you get a Korok seed or whatever. And I feel like Skyrim is the same as that. It like drives you to go different places. However, there's dialogue there because they're like that's Bethesda Game Studios are some of the best in the industry at creating either environmental storytelling or side quest storytelling. And I just think that's their way of getting you to explore. Whereas in like No Man's Sky, it's literally go there to collect, like your incentive is go there to collect minerals or find something that's kind of fucking wacky. But I still feel like they're very like point of interest driven exploration, which I'm trying to like, it's not the same as like like a linear single player game, something like God of War or Red Dead or Witcher, it's like you explore those games for different reasons. I don't feel like those are quite the same. You could maybe put them on a continuum, couldn't you? Where it's like if No Man's Sky and like Breath of the Wild and Outer Wilds are like fully at one end of like exploration-driven games, and something like let's say, I don't know what's coming to mind, like Gears of War is like a linear single-player game, and then in the middle you've maybe got something like Skyrim, something like Fallout, where it's somewhere in the middle.
I would agree with that. They're just different types of exploration. At the end of the day, they are both exploration, sure. But I don't know, when I kind of read this, and I don't know, I was low-key a little bit disappointed, to be honest. when they started saying that Starfield would be a bit more No Man's Sky and stuff like that, I was a little bit more disappointed. I would have rather seen it as a bit more Mass Effect-y and a bit more Skyrim-y and a bit more, that sort of thing. Because I mean, I wasn't, obviously I'm just doing a direct comparison right now, but I wasn't a huge fan of No Man's Sky, and I feel like that whole just like, I know, driving around and collecting stuff and building a base and like upgrading your ship and stuff like that. That's great, but I don't know. I'd rather have a bit more narrative to my game and a bit more, just a bit more going on. But...
Which, like, there will be, and like this is what I mean. I don't think we should get confused and think that this is going to be No Man's Sky 2.0.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just doing it on a direct comparison based on like a half a paragraph that someone wrote, of course.
If we think of like what Bethesda game studios like, this is when I'm thinking of this. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but I don't think I am. I'm just doing this based on this information, like fused with BGS's track record. It's going to be something like No Man's Sky and Outer Wilds in a sci-fi setting, fused with something like Skyrim or something like Fallout, in the sense that everything is handcrafted. Let's remember that. No Man's Sky is procedural. Everything is handcrafted, hundreds of probably planets that you fly to, each one. On all of them, there's going to be like different side quests, like equipment, upgrade your equipment, that kind of shit. And there's obviously going to be like an overarching main quest as well. So when I think of this, I just think that it means that there's going to be a heavier emphasis on actually exploring space rather than being taken. It's like, because I'm thinking of like Mass Effect in the moment, right? Like, it's cool, you go to different planets, but I'm not exploring them.
Yeah.
There's no like sense of actual exploration there. Like, I mean, there is a bit in like narratively, because like I'm going to planets I haven't been before, but I'm not like, I don't have the agency to decide what I want to do next. So that's what I'm taking from that. That it's just going to give you that control, really.
Yeah. If it's a best of both scenario, that's fantastic. I just hope they don't just treat it as like a more of an explorer game, and they really dumb down the combat mechanics and stuff like that, which Bethesda, let's be honest, are not fantastic at the best of times, combat. So if they like dumb that down even more and focus more on exploration and stuff, I still think it will be a great game, but it's just not quite what I've envisioned. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
but regardless, it sounds great, and if it's a best of both scenario as you described, then sign me up. That sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it
sounds great.
It reminds me a bit of Elite Dangerous.
I was going to make that comparison as well.
And it's like, if I think about Elite Dangerous, I've always loved the idea of it, but it has a bit of a reputation for being like really inaccessible because the controls are ridiculous, and it's like a sim. That's like a sim game. And
it's hardcore.
I imagine Elite Dangerous scaled back to something more accessible with more RPG elements, and more of a narrative-driven experience. That sounds like really, really exciting to me, because I've seen on YouTube like some of the stuff that can happen in Elite Dangerous, and it's like wild. Like, it's so cool. Like, you're just flying from solar system to solar system, and like you'll come across like a fleet of fucking like intergalactic like aliens. Do you know what I mean? And like that sort of stuff is so exciting. I think it is anyway. So that, but less of the hardcore simmy stuff and more of the Bethesda Game Studios, like I said, environmental storytelling and all of this. Like, can you imagine? Because like, this is one of the things that Outer Wilds is really good, even though there was only like between 7 and 9 planets. Can't remember exactly. Maybe it's like 7. And some of these planets looked bonkers. Like, can you imagine just like flying through and seeing like a planet from outer space, and it looks weird? Like, it either looks scorched, or it's full of craters, or like there's like it's all ocean, and you'd be like, I'm gonna go and have a fucking look at that. Or there's like loads of tornadoes on it, and that's the sort of thing that I mean. Like, you're gonna be driven to be like, that looks interesting. So you'll go and have a look, like loads of mountains, or whatever. But that's that. And this was according to the user his username was, his or her username is Point. So I just want to give credit where it's due. And so there has been some follow up in terms of. I mean, everybody should have known this by now. I don't know why it's still even being discussed. Jeff Grubb has said that Starfield is exclusive to Xbox and PC. Period. He went back and checked his source after there was a bit of doubt thrown around, I think, by some of the IGN members on one of their recent podcasts. But it's all but confirmed, and Jeff Grubb has a really, really solid track record. I mean, this is expected. Out of like the two upcoming Bethesda games, being Starfield and Wolfenstein 3, Starfield was the one that's likely to be exclusive. I mean, I think they plan on making every game exclusive, but I can see a case for Wolfenstein 3 where they're like, we'll have a year exclusivity on Xbox, but it's maybe a bit cancer to take away the final of a trilogy and put it exclusively on Xbox. I mean, maybe they will. I mean, if it was Sony, that's what they would do as well. If it was Nintendo, that's what they would do as well. But Xbox have a slightly different approach, and they're fighting that uphill PR battle still. So I can see the case for that, but yeah. Any thoughts on that sort of exclusivity at all?
No, not particularly. Like, we all knew Starfield was exclusive. I mean, whether or not it was 100% confirmed or not, it is now, and it was pretty obvious, like you said, that was going to be the case. And yeah, I kind of agree. If Wolfenstein 3, that would be the one that was timed, if anything. I think you pretty much just hit the nail right on the head, to be brutally honest. Yeah,
and I mean, Phil pretty much all out said it on the Bethesda roundtable that they had months ago, where he said like these games are going to be going to platforms where Games Pass is.
Yeah, it's essentially
It's essentially that. Yeah, and Grubb also said that he now thinks that Starfield is going to be 2022 launch. So there's still a lot of mixed signals around this, but I mean, we've said this on the show for the last few weeks. We wouldn't be surprised to see Halo for Xbox to allow Halo to be the black hole sized,
take the 2021 spotlight
entry that it is, and just suck all the air out of the room for the back end of holiday 21, and then have Starfield swinging in January, February. Like, wow, that's a huge 1-2 punch if they come in successfully. But I mean, it shouldn't be understated as well how big that grab is for Xbox. If people are only just coming to terms with the fact that Starfield is going to be exclusive, when they start putting trailers up for the casual audience, which, like we said last week, they've bought ad time for Starfield from the makers of Elder Scrolls Skyrim, from the makers of Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, comes Starfield. That resonates with people. Your casual gamer is going to be like, I played Skyrim. These guys have made, I think people forget this, these guys have made some of the biggest cultural milestones in games in the last 20 years. And this is their next IP. They haven't made a new IP in over 20 years. So, like, this is when the time... And I understand that it's kind of a bit quiet at the moment because we literally haven't seen gameplay. So it makes sense. But, like, game's going to be huge, man. And that leads me on to my next part of the screenshots. There has been a couple of screenshots which have shown some stuff. I mean, more than what we've had before. There's, for the listener, the guy who's leaking, who has leaked them is called Skolzy on Twitter. And there's been some of it's been like concept art. There has been some like asset packs as well. That's and one of the bigger ones has shown like a character model in third person. It seems to be sort of a snap from gameplay, looking at a wall with like HUD elements. And the dude's got a gun. There's a health bar. There's a stamina bar. There seems to be like a grenade indicator. So, I mean, this is, to be honest, that's indicating more combat to me already than I thought there would be.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not seeing any fucking like water or like hydration or anything like that.
Hell yeah, I know.
My God, if I saw it, or like a hunger bar, I'd be like, cancel Starfield. That's it. Cancel culture. Begin.
Yeah. They're hard to get right, aren't they? Survival mechanics.
They're just fucking annoying, dude.
Yeah, I just
don't like them.
But I mean, and so this is like, I'm just basing this off the screenshot that I'm looking at, which seems to be legit. That looks really good, doesn't it? Like, graphically, that looks really good. And this is a screenshot from 2018, from a 2018 build.
Yeah, it looks really nice. A bit grey, but it looks nice.
Yeah, and we, as I say, we don't know if Starfield is going to be current gen exclusive or cross gen. I can't see it personally being current gen exclusive, like just on Series X and S and PC. The only bit of evidence I would say against that is that when they first started speaking about Starfield, and Todd was saying, "Oh, this is my dream game. I've been thinking about this for decades and decades." He said at the time, "This is a next gen game." But I don't know. I doubt it.
Do we know if it's going to be like Fallout, like where you can be in third or first person, or do we know if it's going to be locked?
We don't know.
Over the shoulder.
We don't know, but it's just one of those things based on the track record.
Probably both.
Probably both. And this screenshot is in third person, which this team has never made a third person only game. So
yeah, it'll probably be both. You're right.
And generally they show it off in first person because their third person animations are fine.
They're not the best.
They're okay. So yeah,
we will love a bit of Skyrim jumping.
Oh, they're so good.
Jumping up the rocks.
Yeah. And so the same guy as well, just before we move on from Skyrim, also said that Starfield will have factions. One called the Space Nation Alliance and the other called the Black Fleet. And he just said,
Space
I'll leave
Cowboy.
you with that. Yeah, I don't know why I put a cowboy emoji there. But
I mean, there will be Space Cowboy Alliance.
Oh, I'm sure.
Let's be honest. Some kind of outlaw fucking...
Well, that's what that sounds like. The Black Fleet.
What, the Black Fleet? Yeah. Kind of sounds like space pirates, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, it doesn't surprise me. Again, this is quite in line with what Bethesda game studios do in their games. Mm-hmm. Big games, lots of different factions. It reminds me of, what were they called in Skyrim? Not the Empire. What were they fucking called? You could either be like the rebels or the...
Oh, yeah, what was it?
Or side with the...
I don't know.
You know what I mean, though.
Yeah, I always remember the one from...
Storm.
Oh, Storm. Oh, my God, yeah, it is. Storm...
Troopers!
No, Storm Fronts? Storm...
Yeah, something like that.
Stormbreakers.
Maybe?
I think it's Stormbreakers.
Yes,
or
I'll
the,
agree with you.
Or the guys in the red armor. They had red armor, didn't they? Imperials. It was Imperials
and Stormbreakers?
Yeah, let's go with that. And then, I remember the DLC, it was like you could side with the vampires or the Dawn Guard, which were like the faction.
Exactly, yeah. And they like doing this sort of stuff, yeah. And it's not many... And this is... I keep saying this, but it does surprise me every time that a lot of games don't copy what Bethesda Game Studios do, and I don't know why, because it's such a good formula in just terms of having that open world, having factions. Maybe it's just because it just takes a lot of work to flesh out all these factions and have their own story, and then you get your own gameplay sort of enhancement and reward from it. Yeah, I don't know.
Why were we thinking about the Imperial Stormbreaker? Obviously that's the main story element, but there was all the other ones like Thieves Guild, and
of course,
Dark Brotherhood.
Well,
all that sort of stuff.
All I meant is because these ones are diametrically opposed. They're two ends of the same spectrum. Whereas Thieves Guild, Warriors, whatever it was, Mages Guild, they're kind of all over the place. Whereas these two, I think this guy mentioned these two in specific because they're two sides of the same coin, sort of thing.
Yeah.
One's the law, one's the outlaw, sort of thing. But yeah.
But it definitely, like you said, it is a great formula because it just inspires your player base to at least have more than one playthrough, right? Because you're going to want to do it from both sides of the coin. Even if the differences aren't that, crazy, people will still do it. Just for those small differences. I know I did. I know I played Skyrim and went with the Stormbreakers or went with the Imperials. I know I did a Thieves Guild. I know I did a Dark Brotherhood. I made characters for all these sort of things. And it just creates so much more game time and so much more choice for the player. So
yeah, and they're not even I agree, but they're not even small changes though, are they? For a lot of them, I think Bethesda are really good at working in meaningful gameplay enhancements. When you get to the end of them, I can't remember exactly what happens, but when you get to the end of the the Mages Guild, you get like a different skill tree unlock, you get different weapons and spells, and same with the Dark Brotherhood, same with Thieves Guild, yada yada yada. You know what I mean? But I think they're good at working those sort of enhancements into those sorts of factions, and that's quite exciting to me.
Rewards the player.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean that's Starfield for today. I did it at the beginning for all of you. You're welcome. So I won't be blowing an air horn later in the episode. But that's that. Okay. So, we have spoken about this. I think we spoke about this maybe really early on, maybe in like episode 2 or 3. But there has been like a supposed idea of Arkane working on an unannounced new IP featuring vampires. Does this ring any bells with you? I feel like we have spoken about this before.
I think we did, yeah. It's ringing some very distant bells in my brain.
Yeah, okay. And supposedly, again, this is according to sort of some insiders, this is the same team who is making this game. This is the same team responsible for Prey and Dishonored 1. If you don't know, Arkane has 2 studios, one in Austin, USA, and one in Lyon in France. So they both worked on Dishonored 1. Then they went their separate ways, and Lyon did Dishonored 2, and Austin worked on Prey. Arkane Lyon is currently on Deathloop.
Okay.
But so Arkane Austine have been working on something since Prey, which was, when was that? 2018.
Yeah, late 2017 or 18. Yeah.
I just googled
around
2018.
That sort of era.
Such an idiot. Such a dumbass. Yeah. So
2017.
2017.
Right.
Yeah, right. So they've been developing this game for, come 2022. This will be their 5th year. So this game, if this is real, I mean, this makes sense.
It's been in the oven a while.
Yeah, it's right. It's going to be ready to go, and allegedly it's targeting spring 2022. The project name is Omen, and as I say, it's like it will be an Arkane type game around vampires, which is, I haven't seen a vampire game in bloody ages. I mean, what was that? There was one
Vampire. It was literally just called Vampire. It was an RPG, wasn't it?
Was it that one? Yeah,
it was. You played a vampire in an RPG.
Maybe that.
It was
yeah,
okay.
maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, is that the one that was fairly recent?
Yeah. It was fairly recent. It was in like the last few years. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like there was maybe another one.
Potentially, but yeah, you're right. There isn't much going on around that sort of area. Like
pretty interesting though.
That sort of stuff. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and I mean, what studio to be making a game like that? Like that's incredible.
Oh yeah, that's exciting. Yeah.
If they can make a game like Prey, where essentially you're still fighting the supernatural, you're fighting aliens and stuff like that. If they can just like do a similar formula and swap it out for vampires as your enemy, or I don't know if you play as a vampire. I don't know. Obviously, no one knows.
Imagine if you're like fucking Van Helsing, dude.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like, it'd be super, super cool. Yeah, I'm completely on board with that. Like, I do really like this studio. I know they're like your favourites.
Yeah,
but I do very much like them as well. And hell yeah, I'd like to see any game from them. To be brutally honest.
And this is kind of like when we said. Well, rather when we go on to speak about E3, I bet Xbox is like breathing a huge sigh of relief that they have Bethesda now, because with something like this, again Starfield, again Wolfenstein 3, these are like going to be 3 huge games that are going to pad out the fairly empty 2021 and 2022. While the other stuff it cooks in the oven, and this is something which nobody has seen. Like, this has a chance to be like a big sort of bomb drop. At E3, if they do decide to go this year. Out of nowhere, boom, here's gameplay, out May 2022, who knows. But yeah, so I'm excited to hopefully see more of that.
I'm just sort of thinking at all like the powers you had in like Dishonored, and like how they could translate that and you just be like really fucking cool vampire boy.
You've got like a blood bar that you need to keep up.
Ugh, that would be kind of annoying.
You either kill people... No, but like imagine, because they like doing that, they like, it's either lethal or non-lethal, but in this case it's like blood or kill. And I think this is because one of the criticisms that people always had of Dishonored, that at least I did, is they fixed it quite a lot in Dishonored 2 actually, and Death of the Outsider, but is that non-lethal playthroughs were way less fun.
Yeah.
Like you can obviously play how you want to play, but it's less engaging because like you've got to go behind someone, you've got to choke them out, put them down, hide the body somewhere, and it's like, whereas I could just stab them in the neck and I'd fucking blink away into the shadows, and that was way more fun.
I always remember that time where you did like you were doing like a lethal playthrough, and I remember you like you were like at the top of like a massive staircase, and you like stabbed someone in the back of the neck and then threw his body down the stairs, like down the spiral bit, and all you heard was like the maids and the servants just screaming at the bottom, and you were just like sprinting off. Imagine how scary that would be.
Yeah,
it's the body falling in front of you, and then all you hear is like someone running towards you.
Yeah, come here, I'm going to fucking stab you.
There's so much more fun doing it lethal. 100%.
It's funny that you mentioned that actually, because I remembered that I've just been bouncing in and out of Dishonored Definitive Edition as well, and I hit that level and I had the exact same memory. Like I was at the exact same staircase, and I was like, I fucking remember this. We laughed at this. It's funny, man. So like I reckon that would be a good approach to that kind of like to balance out the lethal versus non-lethal. It's like you either just kill or you like do a lethal but take blood. Maybe that's a little bit slower and the blood like charges up powers. I don't know. I love thinking about things that maybe are real or maybe not. Who knows? But this is cool shit. You know, Arkane are really, really talented, and we could see this next month, which is really exciting.
Very exciting. Yeah.
The Coalition put out an official blog post this week saying that they're officially moving to next-gen development. They're moving to Unreal Engine 5. And to quote, open quote, as we look to future games, we're excited to start shifting our resources to next-gen development using Unreal Engine 5. Gears of War has always been at the front of Unreal Engine development as a breakout 720p title for the Xbox 360 through to last year's 120 frames per second multiplayer update for Xbox Series X and S. And we're excited to continue that tradition by developing on Unreal Engine 5 for multiple new projects. Multiple new projects, yo!
Oh my god, so many new Gears games coming. They don't make anything else.
Yeah. Mandalorian when? Never, apparently.
That's obviously like crazy exciting. I can't even. Unreal Engine 5 must look so sick.
Yeah.
It must look just unreal. It's not even out yet, is it? It's coming out like towards the later end of this year, I think.
Yeah, I think we looked at it last episode, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I think it was like October, if I remember correctly. October this year. But yeah, mate, that's insane. Like, Unreal Engine 5 is going to look insane.
And they went on the record and said, this is obviously a big undertaking, so we want to be clear that we're not announcing anything for some time.
It's going to take so long to sort of get used to this new engine and build from the ground up all these games. But yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to reuse a lot of assets because, I'm sure there'll be compatibility moving from, 4 to 5. It'd be a bit weird if there wasn't, but yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, this is like, I don't think anybody's complaining about that. I think everybody feels that Gears needs some breathing time. However, Jeff Grubb said on a podcast, on Colt Eastwood's podcast, he's another Xbox sort of YouTuber podcaster, and he said that they're working on a smaller side project to get used to Unreal Engine 5. So they're working on something new, which is maybe a AA size project, which it sounds like it was something that they plan to sort of produce and release. So this is good. I think they need to start sort of branching out into some other stuff, and it makes, it sounds like a good time to do that, doesn't it? As they get used to it, just experiment with something new. And then obviously they also have the time to breathe on Gears, and by the time that rolls around, it will look like it came from God himself.
We've created new life. Gears 6 or whichever one they decide to do next, whether they choose to throw out another one or not, running that on Unreal Engine 5 will look amazing. I mean, Gears 5 looks so sick.
Yeah.
It looked amazing. And yeah, no, that's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely,
Very
absolutely.
cool.
Good for them. Good for them. I think they probably need a bit of breathing time as well because they're still supporting Gears 5, so we'll see as things go forward.
Yeah.
In terms of the E3, event coming up next month, there has been some speculation about how they should handle that, and we've spoken about it before on the show. But it seems now, a few insiders have been saying, particularly again, Jeff Grubb has been saying that they're going to be mostly sharing an E3 show now. There was kind of this idea that beforehand it would be, this is Xbox, this is Bethesda. And there's just kind of that implicit recognition that Bethesda is part of Xbox. But now it's seeming that there's going to be they're all going to be under the Xbox umbrella. They were always going to be one after the other, but now that there's going to be they're going to be introduced as being under the same Xbox umbrella, which I think they definitely should do. They need to start getting that brand connection. Like people, your casual gamer will not understand this for a while unless you're really, really clear about it. You know, you've put up a couple of trailers, that's fine. People will still probably watch those trailers and not really get, what's a Bethesda? It's a place in the USA. I don't know. So so they're like, this just needs to be super, super clear.
You've really got to drive it home and make it obvious, and
And as well, sort of touching on E3, this was quite recent from the Xbox Era podcast that just happened the other day. Nick, the insider there, special Nick, that's his username. It was Special Ed. Our friend from across the pond in Australia has said that we should maybe temper expectations for E3, and I want to scream.
Come on. Temper our expectations. So you're still good. You're so up and down on E3. It's unreal.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the reason that he said this is because one of his sources has said to him that a game that he was expecting to see has been pulled.
Boo.
And he's been matching up like his list of what he has. What he's expecting in the show based on what his sources have told him with other insiders, and some of it's not matching up. So some of them are hearing the same things. If it's corroborated, that sounds kind of right. But if there's anything which he's heard, which other people haven't heard, then that starts to be a bit of a question mark. But he knows he's not sure about that, but he's for sure that something that he was expecting to see has been pulled. And because the thing is, I think if this wasn't a COVID year, this would be it. This would be the bomb drop E3. This would be the E3 of the decade. It would be, equivalent to Sony's 2016. Like, Sony had this like legendary showcase in 2016, where they revealed God of War with gameplay. They re-revealed Horizon Zero Dawn with gameplay. They showed Days Gone, not with gameplay. Spider-Man with some gameplay. Death Stranding. Detroit Become Human re-reveal. All of these games, all exclusives. No dates were given for any of them, but a lot of it was gameplay. And a lot, over half of them were like new game reveals. Some of them were new IPs. So and that's just sort of like kind of the bar.
It's the bar to beat.
Exactly. And so I don't think, and you can't do that every year, obviously, because your stuff needs to cook, but stuff has been cooking. And that's not, I'm kind of like, I just want to see like a real drop that kind of really turns public opinion. And that's what I mean. It's like, because it's COVID year, I think maybe we need to accept, I need to accept that some stuff still is going to be delayed, like stuff that would have otherwise maybe been ready to show is going to have to be pulled to next year. And like the only thing is there anything that's coming to mind for you when we say something that we would be expecting to see? Like, what would you be expecting to see? Maybe just 2 or 3 ones that you think.
I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, obviously we're going to be seeing Halo. I was expecting, define expecting to see. Like, gameplay or just like a trailer or like just a bit of
Well, I mean,
hype
obviously
or...
you can't speculate on stuff that we don't know about, but like in terms of seeing something again that we've already seen.
I mean, I guess like I would have liked to. I probably wouldn't have seen gameplay, but I would have liked to have seen more on Avowed.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. I didn't. I don't think that was going to happen anyway. I don't really know, to be honest.
So
I'm trying to think of some other ones.
yeah, so the thing is, I think a lot of people have been umming and ahhing on Avowed, even though it's been in development for 2018. You know, we only heard about it for the first time last year. It got revealed last year, so like, not a huge surprise if we don't see it again. Things that I would have expected, you know, we wouldn't be expecting Fable. No. We only just got an official confirmation last year, again, even though, again, being in development for 2018. But this is the Playground team who are now adapting their driving team into an RPG, you know. So, like, of course, they're going to need longer. That makes sense.
That's a while off, yeah.
And adapting their engine to an RPG. So, yeah, they're going to take longer. Perfect Dark, wouldn't expect to see. What I would have expected to see is Hellblade 2, which we've now known about since Video Game Awards in 2019.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Everwild, that we've known about from XO 19.
I wouldn't have expected to see Everwild. But
We've had 2 CGI trailers for Everwild now.
Mm.
At this point, I feel like if they were going to show it off again, there's got to be gameplay ready. Like, even if it's like a vertical slice, I mean, whatever it is, I just feel like they can't show us 3 CGI trailers. Like, what is that game? Like, you know, everybody is like... Yeah. The trailers are really, really good, and obviously the art style has got everyone excited, like the concept, but we still don't know what it is. So gameplays, so Hellblade 2 and Everwild are the 2 games that I would say I would have been expecting to see that we know of. Obviously, Halo Infinite is a lock. Starfield is a lock with gameplay. Those 2 are pretty much confirmed. Those are the 2. Those are the only 2, and maybe Psychonauts 2 are the only 2 or 3 that I can, with 100% confidence, say they'll be there with gameplay.
Yeah, there could have been a chance for like State of Decay 3 maybe, but again, we only heard that quite a bit last year. Yeah.
They said last year they're in early pre-production, so that's not till like 24 or 25. Yeah. That's miles out.
What else? I'm just trying to think back a little bit. Something hype worthy that we were expecting to see but not. I'm drawing a blank. But yeah,
your big 4 from last year. Your big 4 were Hellblade, Everwild, Avowed, and I always do this. I always forget the last one.
What? Oh, did you say? You literally just said it, didn't you?
Hellblade, Fable, Avowed. I played Fable, Avowed, Everwild. Yeah, those 4. Those were like the big 4 from last year. 2 are further out than the other ones, supposedly. Like, basically, for me, it's just Hellblade 2. I'm really expecting to see Hellblade 2. I was really surprised we didn't see much of it last year. You know, we literally just had a dev update, and they just said, "Oh, we're doing it in Iceland. Cheers." But like, you know, we heard about it in 2019, and I would have been like, surely there's got to be some. I know they're wanting to do the game in Unreal Engine 5, and that's the only thing I can think of that's maybe really keeping them back, because if they're like doing a lot of the game development now, maybe they don't want to show it off until they've got it moved over to Unreal 5. So this might be a VGA thing. So 2021, end of the year. So it's a bit disappointing, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, anything being pulled is disappointing, especially if it was something obviously that we've heard about for a while, and we're expecting to see. Yeah, it's pretty lame having something pulled.
But I mean, as I say, you know, if we sort of compare what we do know compared to like I described, that Sony sort of gold standard E3, which, you know, to note again, Sony haven't had another E3 like that before, and they had never had anything like that prior. That was a real outlier. It was just an insane showing. They're really good at getting like vertical slices ready, whether or not the devs like that. You know, they usually have some gameplay to show quite early on. Xbox don't tend to do that. So even if we have, like I said, Infinite, Starfield as a gameplay locked, that's pretty big, assuming they both go down well. Psychonauts 2 is somewhat multi-platform. It's not coming to PS5. It is coming to Series X and S. That will still be exciting, whatever. Not a massive deal for most people. Potentially, we're looking at Forza Horizon. Fairly exciting for most people. Not super hype levels through the roof for most people again. Not like Halo and Starfield, but still, it's going to look good and it'll be a good graphical showcase. We're possibly looking at Project Omen. Again, like we just said, from Arkane, and we're maybe looking at that Project Typhoon that we spoke about in the last few episodes that's been teased, that sort of multiplayer game that could be anything. We're still looking at... That's still a really good showing. Like, if there's 6 solid showings with gameplay, that's still really good. I just want to be clear. Like, that's still really, really strong. That's still probably Xbox's strongest showing since, like, the 360 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But it's just... it's just a shame to hear that maybe some things are being pulled that maybe we would have expected to see. But, I mean, no biggie. I'm sure it will still be good. And hopefully the whole conference doesn't leak prior to the show, because that always seems to happen to Xbox.
That would suck. Yeah. But yeah, I'd be happy with a decent showing of Infinite, Starfield. And yeah, like you said, potentially this game from Arkane, which has been in the oven for 5 years, and they might just be like, boom, you know.
Exactly.
I'd be extremely happy with that. And then, you know, there's always some pretty cool stuff alongside it that you're never really expecting. But, you know, even if it's just 3 pretty hard hitters, you know, these are all games I'm looking forward to. So
yeah, and we'll hear about the other one. I just wanted to drop its name because I didn't mention it, but we haven't heard about it since last year from that When Dusk Falls. Is that what it's called? When Dusk Falls?
It rings a bell.
Yeah,
I think
from
something like that.
Yeah, it's from that French studio, what they called Interior Nights, and it was the art style was like all hand drawn. It was just like a narrative kind of thing. But I'm sure we'll hear about that again. But yeah, it's again, for most people that's not going to be huge. It's still obviously cool, but yeah. So that's our E3 thing for today. Okay, so. In terms of just a couple of things here, I just wanted to sort of put it out there. Minecraft Dungeons, Hidden Depths DLC is coming out May 26th. I don't know if you saw any screenshots for it, but it looks really cool. Yeah, on your birthday. It looked really interesting. Whenever I look at it, I go, like, they did a really good job of adapting this game to like a Diablo sort of game.
It was good fun.
It looks the part.
The time we played it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And the Crossfire team. Do you remember Crossfire? We'll probably see that again at E3. Yeah. The Crossfire team is finishing up the single player portion for Crossfire X and Crossfire HD, according to a financial report from Remedy. For those who don't know, Remedy is the team who makes Control, who makes Quantum Break, Alan Wake, all that good stuff. They're doing Crossfire is like a really popular shooter, like military shooter in Korea, and Remedy are making a single player portion for that to come, I think, exclusively to Xbox, or maybe on a timed exclusive basis. And what we saw last year actually looked really good. I played the multiplayer beta for it sometime last year, and it was not good. So that I'm not interested in that, but the single player part of it from Remedy will probably be quite good.
It's kind of like a poor man's Counter-Strike, isn't it? Crossfire.
Yeah, kind of. And then it was weird because they made like an updated mode where like it's like the classical Crossfire is like you say, it's kind of like no sprint, no aim down sights, but they also made an updated mode where it's essentially just COD with better graphics but controls like shit. So yeah, well, I'm sure Remedy will knock the single player bit out of the park, as they usually do. Cool. And Psychonauts 2 has been rated. Woohoo! Yeah, it's been rated as a for age ratings. That's what I'm trying to say. And as I touched on like a couple of minutes ago, this is confirmation that the game isn't coming to PS5. It's coming to PS4 because it was obviously the game started as a crowdfunder, and the promise at the time was that the game would be coming to PC, OS, Linux, and Xbox One and PS4. There was no like anything in that promise about coming to Series X and PS5 at the time, but since Double Fine have been picked up by Xbox. They've invested, we know that lots of stuff has been put back into the game which they otherwise wouldn't have been able to do, like bosses. They've said this, so the game wasn't going to have bosses before, but now it does. So the game isn't natively coming to PS5. You'll be able to play it through their janky backwards compatibility, but it'll be going to the One and the Series X and S natively, which is nice.
It's very nice.
What I did think was interesting was the sort of addition that this, how this continues the conversation around exclusivity. I mean, are you of the opinion that all Bethesda games will be exclusive from this point onwards?
Not necessarily. I mean, yes and no. I think I wasn't under the impression that everything would be. I thought maybe stuff that's been in the oven a while or has been, pretty much at the end of development still might find its way onto other platforms, whether it's through timed exclusivity or not. But then past those, under the impression obviously everything would be exclusive. But no, not necessarily. No.
So does the fact that we've kind of had a bit of a confirmation that Starfield is going to be exclusive, has that impacted your thoughts on that at all?
It has, yeah. It has a little bit, yeah. I mean, Starfield was... Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I did expect Starfield to be exclusive.
Because it's a new IP.
Yeah, that's kind of something... stuff that's like Wolfenstein 3 and stuff like that. I did...
Elder Scrolls.
I'd be quite... Yeah, and ESO. I'd be quite surprised if those were just straight up exclusives. I feel like. I mean, do you feel like Elder Scrolls 6 will eventually reach PlayStation?
No.
In any way, or not? I mean, I think Wolfenstein 3 might, but I think Elder Scrolls 6, obviously, because it's not a continuation on anything, it's its own standalone game. It's just an extended series. That will probably be exclusive, but I think, like you say, continuations. I think Xbox might just be you guys can have it, but just later, sort of thing.
So, I mean, I think this is interesting because the only one I can make the case for is Wolfenstein 3 because it depends if it's a combination of it's quite far along. And also, it's the last in a trilogy.
Yeah,
that's the only. Whereas something like Elder Scrolls is a rolling franchise.
Yeah,
and it's still a while out. Elder Scrolls. I don't see that making it. So I think that's going to be exclusive to Xbox and PC. I don't see that going anywhere else. I also reckon it will be current gen exclusive. So the thought gives me heart palpitations, but. I think, and the problem is, if they do allow Wolfenstein 3 to go onto other platforms, it sets a precedent of maybe we'll release some of these games on other consoles, which I just don't think they want hanging over their head. Yeah. So at the same time, I just feel like it's better. It's better for all of us to just rip the bandage off and just be sorry, this is all locked down now.
Just sever those ties and confirm to all the end users and everyone that strictly everything Bethesda is now Xbox.
Exactly, and it just helps with the messaging, and it's we've said this before, but let's not forget that Xbox exclusivity is actually very, very liberal and gracious. You can play xCloud, you can, as long as you have an Xbox account, you can literally log onto your phone and play these games there or through your laptop. You have to have Game Pass Ultimate, but that's preferable to buying a £500 machine, £300, £400 machine. So, or you can play on PC if you own it there. So it's not like this is totally inaccessible for you. And Sony are going this way as well. They've recently had their own. People have found a PlayStation page added to Steam. So they're gonna. It's obvious that PlayStation are going to go in this direction as well of putting stuff on PC, because it's leaving money on the table. But what I think, to sort of tie it back to sort of Psychonauts 2, I think that this kind of indicates to us that they're not interested in developing for PS5, even if it's for good PR. I know this game was only promised to be on Xbox One, and I know that there are compatibility difficulties with PS4 to PS5, but I feel like it almost feels a little bit petty to be like, we're not going to bother bringing this game to PS5. I know it's not because they own it, like, you know, they own Double Fine now, but this is a game that has been like promised to be multi-platform for years now, and at some point they've just said, don't bother, stop with the PlayStation development. Once you've done PS4, just stop there. You know, we'll do an Xbox Series X and S version. So, do you know what I mean? It just kind of gives us a bit of an indication about how they're feeling about exclusivity at this point, and for them to be like, don't bother making a native PS5 one. You know, even though it's not like it can't be that much effort, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it gives us an idea of where their head's at, of like, if this game's not coming to PS5, other ones aren't. Bethesda games aren't.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to sort of tie that into that conversation around exclusivity. Do you have any other thoughts about it?
No, yeah, I think you made a very valid point, where if they're pulling this kind of stuff with the likes of Psychonauts 2, it's pretty likely they're just going to do the same for everything going forward. Yeah. You know, bar maybe Wolfenstein 3.
Yeah, that's the only edge case I can see an argument being made for. But,
because I do think that's a bit. I'd feel pretty bad being an Xbox owner and just being like, yeah, you wanted to finish this trilogy? Nah, like, you can finish it on PC or our platform. You know, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see how toxic Philly is.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do feel like they need to start getting aggressive. So I ultimately feel like it's the right play. But yeah, as you say,
too much the nice guy.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on how. Yeah, it depends where they're at with it. Okay, this week we also had a dashboard, a UI update as well. Have you got the update for this?
I don't think so. No.
Do you have to
do you have to manually do it, or do you have to be inside some kind of?
I did do it manually, but it's out. Like, the update's out. It's not an insider one. It's like it's out to everyone. So maybe your Xbox just hasn't done it yet. But the improvements are that there's a couple of new dynamic backgrounds. We spoke about this last week. There's a motes one where there's sort of like specks flying around. It looks really good. I've got it on at the moment. It's just by far my favourite one. And they also added like an OG Xbox one, sort of, you know, as part of the 2020 celebration, sort of 20th anniversary. You know, it's that big green glob that kind of floats around in the middle of the screen from like the original Xbox. But the biggest feature is quick resume improvements. They've kind of made the whole process a little bit smoother, a bit more consistent, and they've also added a pin bar, so you can see the caching of quick resume. I've got it right now. You can see what's currently in that quick resume hold, which is nice.
Yeah, which is great. You know, we said it always needed that. You should have more visibility on whether or not you can quick resume. And, you know, that might sway your opinion on whether or not you want to quickly hop onto something while someone's gone to dinner or something like that.
Exactly.
You know? Because, I was never sure. Sometimes I booted up Assassin's Creed Valhalla and I was like, what? Oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
And sometimes I was literally just like waiting like a couple minutes from the launch tile. But that's great. Yeah, we've always said it needed that. That's awesome. The dynamic backgrounds and everything like that is obviously sweet. Like, I'm always up for having more than those. We talked about how we want game-themed ones. I'd love for Halo Infinite to have one or something like that. That'd be really, really cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I have the update, but maybe after this I'll go on and just manually. Can you literally just manually select from the settings?
Yeah, that's right.
Like hardware and then just update.
Home console. Oh yeah, my console or whatever it is there. Yeah, updates and then my console. Okay. It's like 300 megabytes. It's not big. It'll done in moments. But yeah.
Cool.
And I did want to touch on as well, because they mention in this blog post that Smart Glass. Do you remember Smart Glass? That's retiring in June. So as of June, that app will be gone.
I don't even know. I never really knew what Smart Glass was.
I don't know why they called it that. It's just a fucking stupid Microsoft naming conventions again. Not making sense.
I never fully understood what it was. I really didn't. If you asked me now, I couldn't tell you.
It was like a companion app. It was like a native Xbox companion app that some developers could develop for alongside games.
Yeah, was that the thing with like Division was trying to sell it and stuff
Yeah.
like that? And they're like, oh, I'm just hopping on. Oh, I'm on lunch break.
And he was a drone,
Like,
yeah.
He was like a drone, yeah.
Yeah.
And his boss was like, get back to work.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm having a shit, and he's just driving around.
It's your third shit today. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that smart ass. Yeah. It's going away, and it's just kind of funny. It's just kind of that zeitgeist of like in that 2000, like it was early 8th gen, like PS4 and Xbox One. Like all the consoles kind of had this thing of like companion apps, and thinking that this was going to be the next big thing. And even when I was going on Fable Anniversary, there's like a pop-up at the beginning saying like, oh, use our Xbox Smart Glass app. I can't remember what it's for. Maybe it's so you can see the map or whatever alongside. And I remember I used to play Plants vs Zombies with my partner, and I would open it up on the tablet, and she would like see the whole battlefield and see where everybody was, and she could like drop in either like cherry bombs or like sunflowers to heal up people. Yeah. And it was like kind of, it's that same sort of vein of like what Fable Legends was trying to achieve, like asymmetric multiplayer, like someone. Yeah, it's just funny to think about, like there was a time where games were really trying to do that, of like having this companion app so that it's accessible, but now we've kind of moved away from that, and it's like, instead of doing something which is asymmetrical to what everyone else is doing in that game, just play the whole game from your tablet or your phone. It's just like xCloud, it's just literally just access it on your phone and play there. It's just funny.
Yeah, I mean the idea itself is just garbage. Like it just
a bit
doesn't
weird,
work.
Yeah.
It's just like I would never be playing Plants vs Zombies and have my tablet next to me and be like, I should have dropped a cherry bomb here. I'd be like, no, I need
this
to
is
focus
fun.
on the game. I'm playing the game. It's almost like it's made for people who are just backseat game and, I don't know, here, fucking do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Be useful.
Like your stupid little brother, yeah. It's just like, oh, you want to play, do you? Here you go.
Yeah. Fucking give me a sunflower.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very, very weird idea. Like, cool in theory, but sucks in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've got a few more stuff to go over. I want to be aware because we need to wrap up before the 2-hour mark, otherwise my software shits the bed. So we'll try and get
2 hours. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Actually, can you just take the lead on the next one? I just need to plug my my Mac in. It's getting low on battery. It's
oh my god. Well, this is
you can do it, man. You can do it.
This is a lot of pressure.
Just speak about it, man. Just speak.
Well, I haven't even read it though.
Well, read it for the first time now. You'll be all right.
Okay. An Xbox executive teases a new IP for Games Pass that will blow your mind. Apparently, Xbox's head of gaming, Ben Decker, has hyped a new unannounced game that's currently in the works at one of Microsoft's many studios at an interview with someone at Games Radar. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. A new unannounced game is in the works. That's fantastic. And apparently with E3 just around the corner, there might be like a kind of like a stealth reveal with it. That's what people are thinking. A nice little bomb drop.
Yeah, I mean, it could be one of the ones we've already heard about, but I just wanted to mention it because I don't know who this guy is, Ben Deck. We've never heard from him before.
Yeah.
But he's one of the XX or ESEX, as you say, and he. Like I said, he could be talking about like Omen or the Project Typhoon, something that we already know of, but hasn't been revealed officially yet. So we don't really know. But I just wanted to drop it in there because it just like further like corroborates the idea that there is new like unannounced stuff like that we'll see probably at E3.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many studios under Microsoft's umbrella at the moment.
Yeah,
it's impossible to speculate, but. Obviously, whatever it is, if he's thinking it might get revealed at E3, it's pretty far along.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense that it might be that Arkane one. That'd be cool.
And I mean, speaking of which, like you said, lots of things in the oven at the moment at Xbox. Is InXile. Do you remember InXile? But you forgot all about them.
InXile.
Yeah, that's one of obviously Xbox's first-party studios after they were acquired in 2018. Makers of Wasteland, those guys. Led by Brian Fargo. So he, or rather they, in response to an Xbox tweet that was put up, they kind of did this fun thing where, it's kind of is like a slot machine on like what game you should play next, and it gives you 3 different categories. Like FPS or RPG or third-person shooter or puzzle, things like that, and it sort of tells you. And InXile, the Twitter account, replied to that and said, pulled new plus FPS plus RPG. It just seems to be a fun little tease. We know they're working on an FPS RPG in InXile. We know that that's the case. So it just kind of corroborates it. Supposedly it's going to be like a steampunk first-person shooter RPG. But we know they're quite early on. I don't think we see anything about their game until like 2020. They just wrapped up with Wasteland, so they're probably still. Maybe they've moved into development. Maybe they're past production, but I don't think we see anything from them till sort of 2023, 2024. But yeah, I just wanted to drop it because it's sometimes because there are so many games being worked on Xbox, it's easy to forget about even like big studios like InXile are quite big, and their last game was like a high 80s Metacritic game, so it's just easy to forget about studios like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. As well, in other news, Xbox recently partnered with Timmy Studios.
It's my studio.
That's your studio. I can't believe it. Well done, man. Congratulations, honestly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. I didn't really want to brag about it.
Well, as you know, Timmy Studios is kind of a studio that have focused on mobile games. They helped Activision bring Call of Duty Mobile, or made Call of Duty Mobile a thing, and obviously that's a game which has had tremendous success. It feels like some of these bigger games are starting to find their feet on mobile. Obviously it's not something I will ever care about, but like I can see what, like, they formed a strategic partnership with Xbox Game Studios. We don't know what that means. It could just be something to aid in their like xCloud pursuits. We don't really know, but it just gives you an idea again of like Xbox are still committing to this idea of doing something with the mobile industry. Accessibility, they were all about that. So, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's cool. And like you said, they're primarily like a mobile sort of studio and stuff like that. I wonder if that will have sort of any impact on how Xbox is sort of working with, playing stuff on your phone. What's it called?
xCloud
and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. So and that's what I think.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be working and helping with that primarily.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
Maybe they have something in the works that they want to have like a native mobile version of. Who knows? That wouldn't particularly surprise me because Phil has said multiple times that xCloud is there as an option. It's never going to be the same as playing something natively.
No.
So maybe there is kind of this idea that with maybe some of our games we can actually get them running natively on mobile with a studio who has experience doing this. So
yeah. Phones are little powerhouses these days.
Yeah, exactly. And I
not
think
to mention it all just runs on servers anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll see. Having said that, like a lot of games on Switch are streamed. This is my understanding. I've heard this, that a lot of like bigger titles that can't actually natively run on Switch are streamed.
Mm-hmm.
But they're done so well that you can't really tell. Something like Doom is just an example that comes to mind. Or at least part of it is, or something. I don't know the exact in and outs of it, so that kind of does make me second guess the idea of how streaming could kind of fit into all of this. But
yeah, I think certain assets are streamed in and stuff like that onto a base hardware. But yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see how it turns out, but it was obviously worth mentioning. I could see something like I've added a note here, how like they might want to bring like Halo multiplayer, which they're obviously making as a separate package, to mobile. Like I could easily see that becoming a thing. Like Halo Infinite Mobile, boom, done. Like same, you transfer your character over, you matched only against mobile players, and you can just kind of pick up your account and play if you want. I could see that being a thing quite easily.
So could I. Yeah.
Speaking of accessibility, there were some recent Xbox Insider updates about. Let me give you the exact title. Introducing party chat speech transcription and synthesis. The idea basically being that your microphone picks up what you're saying and transcribes it and puts it on the screen as text. I mean, this is speech to text. It's not... But this is done at system level now. This will be done by... on the Xbox level. So you can go into parties with people, maybe someone who is hard of hearing, whatever it is, and it will convert to a sort of text on the screen. Yeah. Which is great. Yeah.
I use this quite a lot at work when I'm in meetings. Instead of taking like notes, like meeting notes and stuff like that, it just transcribes the entire meeting for me, and then I just click download. Yeah. And it has like speaker 1 or speaker 2, or, if you have it synced with your Azure AD or anything like that. But I use this at work sometimes, and it's pretty cool.
Nice. I mean, Xbox are really at the forefront of kind of accessibility at the moment, so I think this is great. Giving more people the chance. Like, because I always think, right, I've had this thought of like, if I like at some point in my life like got diagnosed with a disability or something that like really hindered my ability to play games, that'd be fucking devastating, because like they're quite I don't know, how do you describe it? Like they're quite. You need like a certain suite of skills to play them, and all it takes is one thing to throw that off completely. If you had like something like a nervous disorder, a nervous system disorder, acquired or congenital, born with it, or muscular. Really, like it's quite fragile, our ability to play games. Something cognitive as well. Like if your attention was bad, your ability to pay attention to two things. Like again, that. So like having all of these options, kind of soothes me and other people a little bit. Of like, especially as like we get older, it's like these things being baked in. Or being introduced now, that means when I get older, if I get crooked, that I'll still be able to use them if I go deaf randomly one day, So,
it's they're great features to have for people that need them, for sure. And I do think Xbox caters very well to those sort of people. I mean, they have that, it's like super crazy ass, I don't even know how it works, like adaptive controller, don't they?
Yeah.
It
exactly.
looks funky. It looks like a DJ board. It's crazy. But I've heard it's great. Like I've heard it's like a really great piece of tech, and it works really, really well. So good on them. Inclusive for everyone. I'm all about that life.
Exactly. Well, what's their slogan that they've been using? When everyone plays, we all win. That's the one. Very cute. Breathtaking. It's
true.
Breathtaking.
It's very true.
Okay, wicked. Well, we made it through. We did it. We did everything.
We did it.
There was more today than I thought there was, but I think we just took up a lot of time at the beginning, being a bit nostalgic at the beginning.
Nostalgia, nostalgia bonus. The nostalgic episode.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's it for this week, everyone. Thanks for listening if you made it this far. I did want to add that, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, as I'm moving next week, there's not a good chance that we'll be able to do one next week. I mean, unless Tim wants to do it solo, which I can't imagine he does.
Solo job.
So it's not likely that we'll have a podcast for next week. We'll resume our sort of weekly podcasting after that in the build up to E3, and we've got a couple of ideas for things that maybe we want to do. And we won't be covering E3 live. Feel free to follow us on Twitter or go to our subreddit. We'll have things there, but we'll be doing a podcast after E3 and sort of recapping all of that, speaking about it. We'll probably have to do it in multiple episodes because there'll be so much to speak about. But we'll definitely be here for the next few weeks in the build up to E3. Definitely, all exciting times. We're getting close. Yeah. Any closing words, Tim?
No closing words from me. The episode's long enough. It's been a pleasure.
Wicked. All right, everyone. Well, we'll catch you probably not next week, but the week after. Again, follow us on Twitter if you want to
Do it.
sort of keep in the loop while we're not uploading anything. But other than that, take care of yourselves, stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll catch you when we catch you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.